Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to give my quick take on Call Jane. But before I do that, let me give you the synopsis, and this comes from AMC. Chicago, 1968. As the city and the nation are poised on the brink of political upheaval, suburban housewife Joy Elizabeth Banks leads an ordinary life with her husband and daughter. When Joy's pregnancy leads to a life threatening heart condition, she must navigate an all male medical establishment unwilling to terminate her pregnancy in order to save her life. Her journey for a solution leads her to Virginia Sigourney Weaver, an independent visionary fiercely committed to women's health, and Gwen Wunmi Mosaku, an activist who dreams of a day when all women will have access to abortion, regardless of their ability to pay. Joy is so inspired by their work, she decides to join forces with them, putting every aspect of her life on the line. Inspired by true events, Nagi's film captures the essence of late 60s social change via one woman's quest to get a safe and legal abortion. So, talk about timing, right? Holy cow, this movie came is out now, and what timing, like I said, with the Supreme Court overturning v. Wade. So very very meaningful movie, I would say, and meaningful time right now. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. So is the movie any good? It is. It's a good film. It's a really good film. I enjoyed it. The story was good. It was powerful enough. Not it wasn't, too crazy, but there's some negatives for sure, but overall I think it was a solid film. Um Elizabeth Banks and Sigourney Weaver, they were really great in this film. Really great. Elizabeth Banks, wow, because she's known for her comedy, right? And she's known for being in comedic roles, but wow, in this role, she really did a great job and just gave so much emotion. It was yeah, she was a standout for sure. Like I said, Sonia Reed was really great too. I mean, everyone in the cast was really solid, but these two in particular, I think they really stood out, and really Elizabeth Banks really stood out. She was just showing her chops with what she can do with more serious roles. So we're probably gonna see her in more things like this. I mean, I wouldn't mind. She, like I said, she did a great job. So in this film, she plays Joy, and like it says there, she's a suburban housewife. And so in the beginning of the movie, she's pregnant, but then she starts, getting these episodes where she kind of gets dizzy and so eventually they go to the doctor, and the doctor tells her like, "Hey, you because of the pregnancy, you have your life is in danger because now it's affecting your heart. The baby is causing your heart, it's giving you an issue with your heart. So he recommends an abortion, but in that time they have to go through the board. So basically, they have a meeting. Elizabeth, Joy and her husband with the medical board of that hospital, and they turn her down. They say no. They've done it once, but they were saying, okay, what's the percentage that everything would be okay? And her primary doctor was like, what's it, 50-50? But he was recommending the abortion, but the rest of the committee, if you will, or the board, they said no. So they shut it down. So then she goes on her own to seek an abortion. So she goes to this one place, and she just freaked out, didn't like it. So she left. And then she saw this a sign next to like a bus stop, and it was something about call. I guess I think it was the call Jane thing. I don't remember if exactly if it said call Jane, but it was like, oh, if you're pregnant or if you need help, whatever, call this number, whatever. And so she did, and she met, and they did like this whole, you gotta tell yourself, gotta put something over your eyes. That way, just for precaution's sake, right? So she goes, she's really nervous. She pays, I think it's $600, and she gets the abortion. So then after that, she gets called a few days later, like as like a follow up, like, hey, it's Sigourney Weaver calling her up. Like, hey, because after the procedure, they take her to where Sigourney Weaver is at, like this safe house, if you will, and they take care of her. Like, hey, you got to rest. And, they feed her, and she goes takes a nap before she goes home. But then like a few days later, like 2 days later, they call her up as a follow up, like, hey, how you feeling? She's like, good. And then Sigourney's like, I need you to do a favor. I need you to go pick up this woman, and bring her to us. And she's like, what? But she ends up doing it. And after that, ever since then, she starts getting in, just helping out the cause. And so she starts taking accompanying these young women, or basically basically any age, to the doctor that's performing the abortions. And she eventually, the doctor's like, hey, why don't you stay with them because they're really nervous, and you can calm them down. So eventually she stays with them more and more, with every procedure. And then he starts asking her like, "Hey, do me a favor. Can you inject her with, with this? I think it's like a sedative or whatever." And she starts doing a little bit more and more. So then she wants to learn herself about abortions because she doesn't really know about the female anatomy either, right? So she starts to learn. She goes to the library. I think it's the university library, and she finds out something very interesting, that the doctor is not a doctor. He never graduated. And so she calls him out and like, hey, look, I'm gonna tell Virginia, Sigourney Weaver's character, because he's raking in $600, and it's like, hey, you're taking all this money when a lot of women can't afford it, and I want you to teach me. So he's very reluctant, but he's like, yeah, look, man, you're gonna lose all this if you don't do it. So eventually he does, and he teaches her, and she starts to perform the procedures now. And so eventually, um, they let go of the doctor, right? And so she starts doing all the procedures. But then, her daughter finds out. But then she's still continuing to do the procedures. But then what happens one day, there's this cop outside of her house. And she goes in, and it's a detective, and like in street clothes. And he's grilling her on the call Jane part, right? Like, hey, are you Jane? And she's like, she's nervous, but she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? Um, but what ends up happening was that detective, he's there because of a friend needs an abortion, so he's there for that. He's not there to bust her, right? So eventually, she comes clean to him, like, yeah, we can help your friend. And that's when the husband is, because the husband's there and he's a lawyer. He's a criminal, I think, criminal attorney or something like that, or like, he, I forgot. He's like a maybe a district attorney. I forget, but he's an attorney, and he's there and he's listening to all that, and he's like, what the hell, right? He doesn't know. And so they start talking, and so then she stops doing all the abortions, but then Sigourney Weaver's character Virginia comes to her house and like, hey, we need you. Like, you're not answering your phone. We need you. There's so many women that need our help, and you're the one that's doing this. So eventually she does return, but then she's like, look, I can't continue to do the procedures, but what I'll do is I'll teach you guys. I'll teach whoever wants to learn, and I'll stay until everyone feels comfortable doing the procedures. And then my role, instead of doing the procedures, what I can do is I'll fund you guys, because I know these, I can get the money for you guys. So that basically becomes her role after that. So that's the whole story. And then also, I guess what they said, they do like this whole monologue at the end. Virginia's character does this monologue saying like, the husband was also helping with I guess with cases and making sure they don't get in trouble or go to jail. But then the Supreme Court ends up passing the abortion law, and so now they don't have to do that anymore. So Virginia's like, I'm glad to say that, we no longer need to exist. We're redundant. We don't have to be here, and I'm really glad. So then, basically at the end, she and Sigourney Weaver's character and Elizabeth Benn's character, they start talking and like, what else are we gonna fight for, right? And so that's basically where it ends. But it's a solid film. Like I said, it's not perfect in the sense that yes, we're led to believe that when the cop is outside, that oh, she's gonna get busted or something's gonna happen. Like they're gonna start investigating, right? Maybe they don't bust her at that moment, but they're gonna start investigating, and things are gonna happen, right? Where they're really gonna have to go even more underground. The Call Jane program thing that they're doing, but no, right? But that doesn't happen, obviously, because of what I said with the detective. He was just there for his friend. I think the negative is that there wasn't maybe enough of an like someone actually trying to investigate them, right? Like where they had to really fear for themselves going to jail because it was illegal to do that. And so because especially if something went wrong where one of the women died, imagine they can be trialed for manslaughter or murder. I forgot what they said, but they're taking a huge risk. So maybe they could have done a little bit more of that, where they could have showed that they're at more of a risk and than what they're showing to the audience, to us. So maybe I would say that maybe that's a negative. I guess it says inspired by true events, but obviously they take liberties. So if you're gonna take a liberty, if you want to make it a little bit more dramatic, I guess you can go that way. But overall, I did enjoy it. I would say give it a shot. But like I said, Elizabeth Banks was really great, and she was really a standout. And I would say check it out and see if you enjoy it. And like I said, it was such a the timing. What a time to come out with the Supreme Court and the abortion law um, being overturned. It's crazy. So I would say check it out. And well, thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like. And if you enjoy the content of this channel and you want to support me and support the channel, please subscribe. That'll really help. And thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.